watching us here now, catching up with this. David Erpin, very established player, as well as Jordan. This should be a pretty good matchup, as we have a real sort of display of what people would maybe expect for this format. Unchained, Purrely. It's a sort of a standard, typical meta matchup you would expect at this deep in the round.
Absolutely, but we haven't seen any of those decks yet, although they are very heavily represented in the tournament. And yeah, as we mentioned, both of these guys had phenomenal seasons last year, and now they are starting things off strong. They are some of those guys who travel overseas to compete in the US.
Totally.
And yeah, so this should be a really good match.
Yeah, David just had a trip to Cancun, tried over there, but now he's back, of course, to his home turf here in Europe, trying to pilot the Purrely deck. And David Erpin, I think, is one of those prime examples of a player that can adapt so quickly. You just give him a deck, he has a couple of days with the deck, and he's playing it at the highest level of competition. And now he has decided on Purrely, even though I've never seen him play this deck in a tournament before, which is super incredibly powerful to me. So we go there with the first Purrely card being activated, and it is going to be the good old, that's pretty memory, right?
Yep.
Yeah, really strong opening here from Jordan with the Ash Blossom. It's a great hit on the Prod of Prosperity, but if you do get to extend after that, it can feel a little bit rough. But discarding the Imperm, showing that we don't really play anything that can get us like a discard engine. Some people have been opting to play Shaddolls. Some people have been playing some Dark World monsters. But it looks like David might be on a heavy hand trap version of the deck. I don't know how you feel about that in this current format with the Purrelys.
I gotta say, the discard engine has really been falling off in popularity. I did not really see a whole lot of Shaddolls or Dark Worlds lately, but there's a very interesting decision by Erpin because he is playing Keldo and Mudora in his main deck, so he is really prepared for all the Telements player in the room, and he can just have really, really good discards with the Purrely spells there.
I think it's a great choice, and as mentioned, there are two ways that you can play this deck. One of them is punishing your opponents if they don't play any interruptions, and basically you try to draw as much as possible in the standby phase with Sleepy, and this way if you play multiple entraps, it works out. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Also noteworthy, we've been saying those guys are crushers in the competitive scene, but also both of them have already had a loss in this tournament. They're both 5-1 in the tournament, so losing here would be pretty bad for them because that would immediately put them on the bubble from Route 8 onwards. And David Erpin here, after that Ash Blossom on Prosperity, not with the greatest opening ever, because he is just going to pass on Purrely Beauty, which gets equipped with, or like rather, it gets another material with the Sleepy Memory through the field spell, but that's all that he has for now.
Yeah, so in the standby phase, you get a little bonus effect of the Sleepy Memory as a material, allows you to draw a card. As well, you can rank up with the Purrely Yeep if he chooses to, and that gets you an extra draw as well. So we'll see if he decides to do that, or if you want to just hold on with the negate of Beauty before potentially ranking up into Noir.
So, looks like Jordan is about to do something though, which would probably signalize that he has been allowed to go into his main phase there. And indeed, we got to start it off by activating the Prison there.
Yeah, the Unchained deck is, since you've probably not seen it yet, played out on our feature live stream this weekend. It's a sort of mid-range style deck. It involves a lot of destruction and grave effects from all of the Unchained monsters, synergizing quite well to do a lot of special summoning from the deck, tutoring one another, creating resource loops, and allowing you to put up not exactly the craziest field ever, but a decent amount of disruptions with follow-up as well. So it acts as a decent catch-all against pretty much all of the meta. It is the most popular deck this weekend with an 11% representation, which doesn't actually sound like a lot generally.
Okay, so we're setting one card that baits David into activating the Purrely, and he brings out Purrely Noir there on top of the Beauty, which only has 4 materials though, so it is not unaffected currently. It can be taken care of by a couple of things, but still it of course has the great effect, which is a quick effect to shuffle away stuff from the opponent's side of the field.
David's sort of forced into an awkward situation where the set card by Jordan was indicating we were going to start with an Aruha. You can chain the Noir to spin away the Aruha so it stays in the hand, but instead, because he knows that it's there, hard drawing the DD Pendulum Monster. It's a
Yeah,
card
Vice
that
King Requiem, yeah.
yeah, people have been playing this as like a Fiend Extender. You know, there's a lot of non-Unchained cards that work well in the deck. Tour Guide is a great normal summon, and you've got the Vice King Requiem as well to special summon and extend.
Yeah, I'm guessing, did he spin back the wrong one, actually?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense, actually,
Right.
because spinning away... So you can't just search it again.
Yeah, he could have just got ridden off the gate instead, and that would have, you know, at least prevented some action from the Pendulum. But this way around is actually pretty
So he must have
useless.
activated the Requiem in the scale effect and then spun it away. He can search it out, but I guess he won't be able to special
Maybe,
summon it this
yeah.
turn.
There comes Chamber, and it is going to resolve apparently, because he also had Shavara, and now Jordan
Yeah, he
already
chained
baited
it.
out both of the spins by the Noir, and he's going off already by having Shayama X's now as well. And that's 2 Fiend monsters on the field. Usually, back in the day, that meant like maybe Cherubini or something, but I think he's having a better card in his extra deck nowadays for that.
For sure. And the only line of defense right now is this face down impermanence, I believe, that he had from the previous turn, and it's usually not enough against the Unchained deck.
Yeah, Unchained is really good. Oh, wow, just an immediate scoop there. Jordan is side decking here is Xe Encore. A card which hasn't really seen too much play, a little bit in Cash Tira format, but I think for those of you old heads out there might remember good old Evil Swarm Ophion back in Dragon Ruler format would be one of the best targets for Xe Encore.
Absolutely.
Oh, do we have flashbacks to game 1 now? Prosperity start. Is it being met by an Ash Blossom once more?
Yeah, Prosperity is such a strong card, being able to dig 6 deep into your deck. And it's really, really good as a way to either start your engine as we're going here. You know, you've got Purrely that we can see off the top here. Or if we are lacking any sort of way to follow up on hand traps, it can dig for extenders, or even in a situation like this, you can
Just a
see
backup. And that's a signal, right? That signals us that he has a good hand already. He doesn't need to go for the Purrely or something. He's ready to play. He has the tools already. And so he just needed something to add to that.
I love the beautiful ultimate rares here that David Erpin is rocking with the Purrely.
Deck is beautiful for sure.
All right, my friend Purrely pays for 500 life points, and this allows you to work in a similar way to, I suppose, Pantheism of the Monarch. You can reveal 3 Purrely spells from your deck, and your opponent gets to pick a face down. Typically, pre-Forbidden Limitless, once upon a time, 3 Delicious would be a great way to get into Plump, but Sleepy is the new target of choice these days, as it allows you to go up into the little Purrely Noir Xe monster and allows you to access Yeep.
Yeah, that's true. Purrely Noir was just such a powerful addition to the deck. Just recently in Duelist Nexus, can actually just get you out the Purrely whenever you want, gets you into the Noir every time, so really, really understandable why a lot of top players have decided to now pick this deck back up again.
So going off with the Sleep here means that you can start digging for more spells, trying to hit as many Purrelys basically as possible, because it does let you keep extending, lets you put more materials under your Purrely Xe, and you can see here we hit a pretty.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah.
True. And the cool thing about Purrely is, the main deck monster, that it's not even once per turn. So if he summons out another Purrely, he can just try again, just go for 3 more cards. It's actually like really nice.
I think...
Oh, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah, no, I wasn't understanding what the Book of Eclipse was doing, but yeah.
I think because the Purrely goes to the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, but the Eclipse was not revealed, that's why it was a little confusing to me. But he fixed it with putting just the other 2 monsters on the bottom.
And there is another beautiful card. It is a quarter century rare Purrely Noir, and there is now the Happy Memory.
Yep, so this lets you chitter out that Yeep, but also allows you to chain onto all the Xe Purrely monsters. They all have the effect to attach the quick plays, boosting up the number of materials, giving them lots of beneficial effects. It's not really a strategy we've seen, I guess, since maybe Zodiac format. Having materials that allow you to get bonus effects from your monsters that you summon here. So we saw the Sleepy Memory, for example. We saw... you know, Delicious is a card that gives you a lot of attack. Happy, one of the ways for going second, allows you to get multiple attacks and searches with the Happy Xe as well. So good going second as well as going first utility in this deck.
Yeah, it's incredibly powerful, incredibly versatile. You have so many options because of all the different effects your Exceed monsters can gain. And it seems like we went for another Purrely, and this time we got the field spell. So we even now have ways to play around Imperm potentially if our opponent has that, because that Purrely Stray Street is going to prevent our opponent from targeting the Purrely monsters the turn they are summoned.
It's a crazy start, yeah.
Yeah, very strong start here. One of the Xyz for utility. Okay, I was going to say Sylvan Princess Sprite.
That's why we play the DD Crows.
That's very cool. Okay.
We are just searching them out through the Recital Starling here. That's cool.
Interesting tech choice
another
here.
beautiful card. Look at that old school Strike of Neos ultimate rare DD Crow.
Erpin does love these ultimate rares, and one of my favorite rarities for sure.
Yeah.
Just classic here. We're going to set 2 here.
Wow.
And that's really good because the ability to... One of the main issues with Purrely is you can lose the Herald of the Abyss. So when you have something like the Big Noir on the field, by setting one of your Purrely spells, you can actually summon Purrely out of the deck in response to Herald, and it means that you get to protect your ex-Purrely Noir.
Yeah, that's really good for sure. But still, you talked about it. There is XYZ Encore in the deck of Jordan. So if he gets access to that card, that Purrely Noir might not be a problem anymore.
So we're going to go draw phase, it looks like, potentially. There it is.
The XYZ Encore right away.
I believe as well, Xyz Encore says you can't respond, if I'm not mistaken.
You can
Super
absolutely
powerful
not.
card. In the draw phase, not going to get the bonus effect of Sleepy, putting the Noir away. Normally it's unaffected by card effects, but Encore works in a unique way where it actually affects the materials of the monster. And then by the time the materials detach, Purrely Noir no longer has 5, making it affected and being bounced away into the extra.
Yeah, and I mean, it was super important that Jordan immediately did that with the Purrely Noir, because as soon as that X-Purrely Noir would have hit the field, he would have not been able to target it anymore because of the Purrely Stray Street on the field. But very hats up by Jordan. I mean, you of course also just don't want to give your opponent more draws with all the cards, so definitely great to go after it in the draw phase there.
Yeah, it's definitely the best time to use it. So the question is here, what are these 3 sets that Erpin has that can help prevent a further push now that the Noir, the all-important boss monster of the deck, has been dealt with?
Yeah, I mean, we know 2 of them, because one is the Leap and one is the Solemn Judgment, but yeah, there is
absolutely
another one to discover. And you didn't mention it. A part of my tournament experience that I always love is seeing on Friday the cards that people go to other official vendors or around to find and talk about. And I feel like for this event it was the XYZ Anchor. I heard so many people looking for the card, and yeah, doesn't surprise me that someone like Jordan is actually having success with it.
Yeah, so I think like 2 of the main ways to deal with the Purrely Noir is the Encore, and there's also the Thrust for the Abyss. But I think Encore just generally works a little bit better instead of Abyss because, you don't let them get that bonus effect from the draws in the standby phase.
Yeah, it changes a lot.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because if you let all of that resolve beforehand, still David is going to have a lot of resources, and you're just denying that now. And we are, I think, revealing for Purrely, and that is not going to be a hit there for the first time in this game. David not going to add something with the effect of Purrely. So that's not looking too great for him.
Yeah, sometimes you need a little bit of luck when you're playing Purrely. Shall we say it's a cat version of Tearlament. You gotta excavate those top 3 and hope that you can get a little bit lucky.
There she is.
Nadir, of course.
Would you like to know a little
favorite cards? Look at that! I explained to you. You can just use Solemn Judgment on Tour Guide, and that is indeed what is going to happen here. So Jordan will not be special summoning out another level 3 Fiend monster from his deck.
So this is kind of the issue, however. 4 other cards in hand. All of the Unchained monsters can special summon themselves, and the deck just plays so well through Disruption, and I think that's one of the strongest reasons why people have been picking Unchained as the deck of choice for the format.
Yeah, so we go Abomination's Prison into the escape of the Unchained, and that of course signals that we have another monster to do something with the escape, and it is Shavara, which is going to destroy the set escape there.
Yeah, a lot of really cool interactions you could do with Shivara just because of the fact that it's a quick effect, not just an ignition. So anytime your opponent can imperm your monsters, which is why the card generally is quite poor against Unchained, you can dodge a lot of these effects, targeting abilities just by chaining the Shivara in the hand.
Yeah, totally. So what are we going to summon out here? I think it would either be Sarama or just Shayama. Yeah, there it is with Shayama.
Fortunate that we didn't draw the quote-unquote brick this time. There's a couple of cards in Unchained that I feel like are not really great to draw. It's one of the weaknesses of the deck. If you see too many things like Shiyama, like the DD, it's a little bit frustrating.
For sure, it's the OG concept of, you know, Garnet with a Brilliant Fusion, but it seems like in this deck you have a lot of those kind of cards.
And now the super powerful Link 2, probably the main reason this deck is now absolutely on top of the meta game again. It is Unchained Soul, Lord of Yama. And as per usual, with theme intern Link 2s, they are very powerful, and this one is a prime example once again for this. Multiple effects. One on the field, which has already resolved, just searching out one, and then in the graveyard you can just banish it to summon one back from the graveyard too. Oh, and there is now as well the Aruha. Aruha.
Yeah, Link 2 monster being able to tutor with the combination of Shivara gets you 2 cards essentially from your deck. One with the set trap, and now the prison is going to float into the Sarama.
Yep.
And now Sarama can activate the effect to set a card from the graveyard and then destroy a card you control. Aruha has not been triggered this turn, so just so many ways to just keep triggering these destruction effects, and then just keep floating and pushing through your opponent's field here. David being really patient with his set cards here, however.
Yeah, I'm really curious about what that is. Don't think there is another Solemn Judgment, but what could it be even? One thing that could happen is that it's just Book of Eclipse and he's waiting for the perfect time to just go for it very, very late, so you can basically prevent your opponent from going for game, because you are low on life. So an early Book of Eclipse just risks that your opponent can still extend and then afterwards go for some damage. But it seems like it looked like a trap card somehow, though.
Yeah, because I am pretty sure he gave up on both an Impermanence and an Eclipse during his first turn. So we could assume that, you know, something is there, because otherwise you would discard that card.
Ooh.
But he's also holding that DD Crow. Let's not forget about that.
True,
so
there's
that
still
could come
DD
in
Crow.
hand.
Absolutely, let's
Yeah.
not forget about it.
Oh,
Ooh,
second copy of
okay.
Encore being discarded from the Abominable Soul here.
Yeah.
It doesn't target, by the way, which is a really powerful aspect of the Unchained Abominable Soul, because it kind of forces you to use your back row immediately, but
Now we
David
find out.
is patient and hits a dead Purrely quick play. That is not really what you want to be hitting here, so it must mean that the last card is the Yeep, so Jordan shouldn't be in too much fear here for potentially trying to keep pushing, except for that DD Crow.
And there is now the DD Crow, and I think we're just going for the Shayama, which probably was activated there, and then we activate the DD Crow in response to it. And then we go for... What's next? Does Jordan still have stuff to go on here? Can he just still keep on pushing? And there is a really good card. Of course. And I mean, he has been waiting for a monster effect to be activated in the main phase, because the Purrely and the Purrely were happening in the draw phase right away. So this is now the first monster effect that has been used in the main phase, and finally Jordan will be able to activate that talent. So he's just been waiting for the Crow to finally be thrown, and that time has come now.
Yeah, it's a odd situation here as we are trying to decide whether or not we want to draw to get more cards, or potentially steal something and just help break apart this field.
Ooh, I think... Oh, did we? Yeah, the Talons is back to hand, because we have just realized Shayama, when it was activated, it will destroy first and then summon the Shayama back. So the destruction effect still applies, and that is what's just going to happen. We are destroying the Sarama, using the graveyard effect to now bring out Rakea, and probably the Talons after, I would assume. Yeah, there we go.
In hindsight, thinking about that, that means that DD Crow is significantly weaker in this matchup than I thought it was. I also thought that it wouldn't be able to summon itself because it has to destroy, but I guess based on the way the PSET works out on the card, yeah, as you mentioned, it just will let you float, and we still have a Rakea that hasn't used the floating ability. Now we're going to go into another Link climb here with the Yama.
Ooh, that is Unchained Soul of Anguish, the Link 3. And we're going to use it to link with one of our opponent's monster into Unchained Abomination. And that is, of course, a very powerful card, because
that's it.
Oh, that's the end of the game.
That's the end of the game, straight up.
Wow.
Wow. What a show off by